Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're switching things up a bit today. Instead of our usual articles and research, we're diving into a live recording, like a real-time Bible study session.
Oh, interesting. A fly-on-the-wall perspective.
Exactly. It's led by MrBATMAN.
Yep.
And this is less about analyzing multiple sources and more about dissecting one single artifact. We get to observe his teaching style, how he interacts, and how he brings Matthew chapter 2 to life.
Kind of like an anthropological study.
Right. So imagine a classroom, buzzing with energy. MrBATMAN's mid-lesson, talking about the Magi, those mysterious figures who visit baby Jesus.
Yeah.
He's got this engaging way about him, cracking jokes 1 minute, then boom, deep into historical details.
And comfortable with a little back and forth, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. Like when a student accidentally says Bethlehem instead of Babylon, he uses it as a teaching moment. Subtly reminds everyone where that journey originated, not just a quick trip, right?
Definitely not.
Yes.
That really highlights the distance.
And speaking of the journey, he brings up the gifts. Gold, frankincense, myrrh. He suggests that, pound for pound, the frankincense and myrrh were probably worth way more than the gold back then.
Really? I never thought about it like that. Which makes you wonder, could 3 guys on a simple pilgrimage really carry that much valuable stuff over such a distance?
That's his point. MrBATMAN uses this to propose that the Magi must have traveled with a huge entourage. Their arrival, way grander than we picture.
Makes sense. More like a caravan than a pilgrimage.
Now buckle up, because this is where it gets interesting. The Star of Bethlehem. He doesn't brush it aside as some mythical symbol. He links it to an actual celestial event, like a conjunction of stars so bright and unique that it was a huge deal to the astrologers of the day.
And this is where his biblical knowledge shines through.
He brings up Daniel.
Suggests
That Daniel, known for interpreting dreams and signs, might have even foreseen this conjunction.
Wow. Okay, I'm hooked.
Now, for those who might not remember every detail of the biblical narrative, we need to back up a bit. Remember how MrBATMAN mentioned Daniel couldn't have children?
Right, he was a eunuch.
Yeah, and he puts it bluntly, he was one less than his students.
It's definitely memorable, though, right?
Exactly. And crucial to the story, MrBATMAN uses it to weave this captivating narrative. Daniel, no heirs, amasses this massive fortune and tells his followers to deliver it to the Messiah when a specific sign appears in the heavens. Maybe this grand conjunction we're talking about.
It's like connecting the dots between these figures and events. Creates this lineage of knowledge and prophecy that leads straight to Christmas.
Powerful storytelling. But it's not all celebrations and celestial wonders.
Right, there's that whole King Herod side of things.
And MrBATMAN does not hold back on King Herod's reaction to the news of this newborn king. Let's just say Herod is not happy.
Understandably, kind of. Talk about a threat to your power.
MrBATMAN highlights Herod's insecurity. Not a rightful heir, just a political appointee. Any talk of a true king, total threat. And Herod's reaction, chilling. The massacre of the innocents. Brutal reminder of those times. MrBATMAN doesn't shy away from the gravity of it, but he adds a layer of historical context.
How so?
He suggests that, while still horrific, the number of children killed might have been in the hundreds, not thousands, as some stories claim.
Oh, interesting. So, emphasizing the localized but still devastating impact.
And in the middle of all this, he reminds his students that Jesus' family becomes refugees,
Yeah.
fleeing violence and persecution. That really got to me. He connects this ancient story to the very real experiences of people today.
It's a sobering thought. Displacement and seeking refuge aren't just history, they're woven into human experience.
Now, what I find fascinating is how he balances these intense historical moments with an almost casual approach to Scripture.
What do you mean? Like, how so?
He's not afraid to point out seeming contradictions or gaps in our understanding.
Give me an example.
He mentions this passage about God calling his son out of Egypt, a prophecy that doesn't have a clear, direct counterpart in the Old Testament.
Like a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit.
Right. But does he shy away? No. He says, see, this is what I love about the Bible. The Bible's never wrong. We just haven't figured it all out yet.
He's not afraid of the complexity.
And he's encouraging his students to embrace it. That ongoing process of study and discovery.
Inviting them on a journey.
Yes. And speaking of journeys, this ties into a recurring theme. Jesus as the Passover lamb.
Ah, that's a powerful connection.
He draws this parallel to the Passover tradition, selecting a lamb, caring for it for 4 days before the sacrifice.
Building that connection between the family and the animal.
Exactly. And then he brings it back around to Jesus in the temple for 4 days before the crucifixion.
Direct parallel. Underscores the weight of it all.
And here's the detail that struck me. He says that Jesus saying it is finished on the cross could actually be interpreted as a direct echo of what the high priest would say after the last Passover lamb was sacrificed.
Wow, I never made that connection before.
It adds another layer of meaning to Jesus' final words.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes. Subtle but powerful.
It's like he's weaving these historical, theological, even linguistic threads together.
Creating this rich tapestry.
And he doesn't shy away from the more difficult parts of the story either. Like he describes a Roman flogging, really gets into it, whips with bone and metal, meant to inflict maximum pain.
It doesn't sugarcoat it.
Nope. He even brings it back to a phrase we hear today, "I'm going to beat you so bad your mama won't recognize you." Suggests it might come from descriptions of the crucifixion.
Wow, that's intense.
It is, but it's effective. Makes this ancient event feel immediate.
Visceral, even.
Exactly. He presents the crucifixion as this horrifically violent event, but also its significance.
That's a tough balance to strike.
It is. But through vivid storytelling, Mr. Batman drives home the idea that Jesus, this baby in the manger, was, according to Christian theology, born to die for the sins of humanity.
And he carries that through to the very end. Urges his students to remember that the second coming won't be as a helpless infant.
Right. He paints this picture of a triumphant return, Jesus as a conquering king. He even throws in this intriguing detail about King of Kings being written on Jesus' thigh.
Wait, what? Where'd that come from?
I know, right? Another one for the research list. It's these little details that keep his students engaged, wanting to know more.
Blending those intricate details with theological concepts and pop culture references.
He shows that studying the Bible doesn't have to be dry. It can be funny, thought-provoking, and yes, even a little edgy at times.
It's about making those ancient stories feel relevant.
Fostering a love of learning that goes beyond the classroom.
And this recording, even though it's just one lesson, raises so many questions. Makes you wonder, what other interpretations are being shared? How did different cultures connect with these texts?
One recording, a glimpse into a vast and diverse landscape of belief.
The beauty of engaging with history, religion, culture, always more to uncover, learn, and discuss.
It reminds us that exploration and interpretation aren't about finding that one right answer. It's about appreciating the layers, the context, and how these stories still resonate.
And that's what makes a deep dive like this so engaging. It makes you want to grab a Bible, dig into some history books, and piece it all together yourself.
He's planted the seeds of curiosity, and now it's our turn to see where they lead.
To look for those connections between these ancient texts and our own lives, just like he did with that ancient punishment and the phrase we still use today.
So what does this all mean for our listeners?
It's a challenge, an invitation, a reminder that even familiar stories have surprising depths, and exploring those depths, even through someone else's interpretation, can spark our own curiosity.
So keep those questions coming. Keep digging. Maybe you'll even have your own aha moments.
And hey, if anyone figures out that King of Kings on the thigh reference, let us know. We'd love to explore that further.
Until next time, keep exploring.